Folks, there's a few seats up here on the front. All right, let's get started at 6:45. We publicized this starting at 6:45. I want to thank all of you for coming. A lot of utility workers here, and thank you for being here, and a lot of citizens here. And before we get started with everything on the agenda, I'm going to ask Alderman Lee to lead us in the invocation. So please rise and remove your hat, followed by Alderman Morrow leading us in the pledge of allegiance. The flag is on my left or to your right.
Shall we pray? Dear Lord, please forgive me my many sins. Solemnly ask the Lord for wisdom. Please give this council wisdom, plus the courage to do what we have to do with the financial situation of the utilities. Be with each and every one of us to realize that nobody in business can continue business by going in the hole every month, and that is the situation we're in. And as the finances are in the United States, everybody realizes that everything is increasing. Bread, fuel, everything. So, dear Lord, please give us the wisdom and the courage to do what's necessary. In Jesus' name I pray.
Amen. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I'm going to read the prepared statement for you because I want to make sure that we've got the information correct in what we're telling you. Welcome to our public hearing to discuss utility rate increases for Benton utilities, water, sewer, and electricity. We'll be talking about each of the utility rates for 2023 moving forward. As you can see, sitting here at my front, the councils to the left, the public utility commissioners, are to my right, except for Mr. Drennan, who is the city attorney. The purpose of the hearing tonight is largely to hear from you, so we appreciate you coming. The way it'll work is Matt is on this side. If you would like to speak, if you'll raise your hand, he'll bring you a microphone, and we ask that you state your name and ask your question or give us your comment. Every person is going to be allotted 3 minutes to talk. Mr. Knight will be our timekeeper for tonight. This is according to Resolution 1 that's passed at the beginning of the year. On the left is Toby. She will come. If you raise your hand, she'll bring you a mic on that side, and we'll try to alternate back and forth instead of spending a lot of time getting up and going to the mic. You know, I want to provide you with a brief history of the utility and its relationship with the city. In 2004, when Mayor Holland was in charge, the city passed an ordinance creating a separate commission. That commission, which is largely operated separate from the city, was charged with managing and overseeing the operations of the city's water, wastewater, and electrical utilities. The commission is made up of 5 citizens, each from Benton. Each is nominated by the commission and approved by the city council. Other than setting utility rates for electrical, water, and wastewater, and approving bonds going to vote to the people, and occasionally approving emergency expenditures, that's all the council does. Everything else is operated within the commission. Even after that, from 2004 until 2016, the utility was operated out of City Hall. In 2016, Mayor David Manley took steps to have the utility moved out of City Hall. This further separated the utility departments and the city as it moved to its current location at Dell Avenue. This commission holds meetings throughout the month where the utility manager reports to the commission with business that needs to be approved. The reason we are here tonight with all of us sitting before you is to hear from you to consider the utility rates that have been proposed by the commission. To establish these proposals, the commission's had a third party conduct the rate study. A representative from the utility can speak more to this, but we expect that the proposal represents what the utility commission believes is necessary to be able to operate moving forward. In November, just last month, the city council had its first reading of the ordinances. There are 3 ordinances, ordinance 57, 58, and 59. There should have been enough copies for everyone to get a copy for you to look at. State law now requires that we have a public hearing for discussion of the different ordinances. We will hear from you on a proposed ordinances. Copies are made available. After hearing the next reading of the ordinance, which will be December the 19th, a week from tonight, at City Hall, at that time it is possible that amendments to the ordinance can be made. In addition, if the council so chooses, it could choose to waive additional readings of the ordinance and vote on it at that time. If that occurs, then the ordinance, if passed, would come into effect in February, and new rates would go into effect in February 2023. Now, we just didn't show up and present rates. It's been a long process. The utilities department need to get to where it's at overnight. Since 2004 to 2022, 18 years, there's been very few rate increases. Matter of fact, there's been 1 rate decrease during that period of time, and there's been no cost of living allotted to operate the utility departments. That's how we've got to where we're at today. Now the process is, in January of this year, almost 12 months ago, the process was started with meetings between the PUC and the council. The commission at that time proposed a $48 a month total increase. January 31st, workshop. In February, the council had another workshop with the PUC. In March, the 28th, the city council meeting, ordinance 14 of 2022 was proposed to increase rates. We went through the same thing process that we're going through now with 3 readings and 1 public hearing. In June of this year, there was an increase in what the electrical department had to pay for electricity. 37% increase is what they're having to pay to buy electricity to supply the needs of our citizens. From August through October, myself, the utility manager, along with both CFOs, met to discuss options. September 12th, committee meeting, the PUC presented a rate study that they paid to have done. That rate study made a recommendation of what the rates should be. But in that rate study, there was also a recommendation to take out loans, which is not something that we should be doing at this time. September, the council meeting, ordinance 29 or 22 to establish an impact fee for the customers utilizing the Thomas Factory. September 27th, PUC and rate study meeting again. October 24th, city council meeting, proposed ordinance 46 of 22. And then last month, the 3 proposals you have before you. So as you can see, it's been a long, drawn-out process to get to where we are today. As a matter of fact, throughout this process, the council voted down 1 proposed rate study because they didn't feel like it was the right time to increase the rate for the citizens with the recession that we're in, with the inflation being as high as it was. So that's how we got to where we're at today. So at this time, we're going to hear from you. We're going to listen, take notes, what you have to say. So if you want to speak or ask any questions, raise your hand, and Matt and Toby will bring you a microphone. The commissioners are to my right, and I think Mr. Ponder has the microphone in front of him, so I don't know if he's answering the question or who is, but we're working together to get them answered. So this time we want to hear from you. Here's one right here.
I'm Tanya Hart, and I live in the Christie Acres community. I already have a $25 charge fee on my bill because they annexed us over 13 years ago. I got told several things. One, I got told that the fee will be on there and for like 25 or 30 years. Then I got told until satisfied. Then I got told again until year 2034. That's still, from today's date, still another 12, 13 more years that I already have a charge of $25. My water bill, I do not have electric. I have energy as my electric, but I have water and sewage. My water bill already runs right at between $80 to $100 a month. That is very expensive. Then on top of that, with that, that's way too expensive. So I do not agree with the increase.
If you'll please stand, as well as raising your hand, it might help us to see you better.
My name is Patricia Ashley. I live at 1313 Dixie Street. I'm an established citizen in this town. I feel it's a bad time for this rate due to inflation. People are coming home from college. They're going to eat more. They're going to use the lights more, and it's going to be another weight on the bill. Another thing, we have people that have, and we have people that have a little. I just think it's a bad time, and it's my understanding that the city's going to hire a new person to be over the light department, and it would be good and thoughtful if they would wait until they had employed someone to do their job. It's taken away from that little that you have, and it's going to put a strain, and it'll be where people get their utilities cut off because they won't be able to pay. I have been trying to get a light where I live for the past 7 years, and fortunately there is a light. Mr. Prasad gave me the right act that it would not be a light It's about safety. I wanted to know what was the golden objective of the commission as far as safety concerned, because visibility is a part of being safe, and if you don't have proper lighting, you don't have the safety. And I'm hoping that he and I can have this conversation again and look at where the lights are needed, and he be willing to put them there. Thank you.
So, it takes a minute. So, okay, I can't tell from back here if I've got sound happening out there or not. So, to address, first, part of Ms. Park's, commentary there, I was a member of the council when the, improvements into Christie Acres subdivision occurred in order to allow people there who were on septic systems to no longer have to live in that fashion and be able to connect to the city sewer system. As a result of that, they were granted a low interest loan that was done by the Arkansas Natural Resources Commission that allowed them to pay for the connection fees associated with that over a 20 to 25 year period of time, or until such time as it were paid out, if it were sooner than that. But the length of the duration of the thing, I believe, is 25 years. Spoken with Ms. Ashley a couple of different times over the last week. Spoken with Ms. Ashley several times during my tenure on the council. Recognized issues associated with safety in all of the things that we do. We have made attempts and have installed a light on the edge of her property that is there today. It is not an LED light with a metal arm like you might find on Military Road or Edison Avenue, what we would refer to there. More so, instead of a night flasher type of light, but more of a illuminated street light there. So it is not one of those, but I believe we have made efforts to meet with her personally. Mr. Price was there again today, she related. I've spoken with her. Several members of the utilities have spoken with her, and at that point I would say that continues to be a work in progress.
Sir, it's visibility in the streets being lit.
Understand.
Hi, my name is Brent Hendricks. I live on Lincoln Point Way, and I've got a couple questions. The first question is,
Go.
hi, my name is Brent Hendricks. I live on Lincoln Point, and I have a couple questions. The first question is, can you percentage-wise break down in each area how the additional increase would be used in the cost of operation, maintenance, cost of needed infrastructure, debt service, and to maintain appropriate reserves? Can you break that down percentage-wise, how that would look as to the additional funding we got?
Sure. Would you tell me your name again, please?
Brent Hendricks.
Thank you, Mr. Hendricks. I appreciate the question. As the ordinance was presented to the council, the requested increase as it relates to wastewater, 17.4%. As it relates to water, 13.7%. And as it relates to electricity, 2%. Each of those percentages being constant over each of the next 3 years. The financials that are part of public record that are out there and that are presented to the council each month show, particularly since June of this year, a drain on the cash balances of the utilities, going from some $11 million in unrestricted cash funds to about $5 would show a year-to-date loss, including cash that has been expended on projects of about $3.2 million for the year. As the mayor alluded to, 37% wholesale cost of electricity was incurred by the city with the onset of the new contract in June of this year. To date, none of that increase has been passed on to any ratepayer. That equates to some $3.6 million per year. 2023 will be the first full year that the city has had to pay a full year's worth at that new rate. That contract runs through May of 2025. In my time as a member of the council, the first opportunities I had was to present to this council was ordinance number 11 of 2007. At that point in time, we had a 53% electricity rate increase that was passed on to the citizens of Benton, all in one shot, because Entergy decided to stop selling electricity wholesale to small municipals, and we were a part of that. As the mayor alluded to further, in 2013, when some of that was renegotiated, there was a 24% decrease in electric rates. And I'm going to tell you, as a member of the council at that point in time, and as a member of the commission today, hindsight can be a wonderful thing. If we had that opportunity again, I would suggest to you that rather than giving all 24% of that rate increase back to the ratepayers, and we kept some portion of that for the utilities, perhaps we would not be having to discuss such significant increases today. Further to your point, ordinance number 25 of 2016 was the last time that we had wastewater increases. The increase was 15 cents per 1,000 gallons from 2016 through 2020. The last water increase we had, ordinance 71 2015, gave us 7 cents per 1,000 gallons through 2019. We as a commission, since our inception in 2004, have probably done a poor job. I wasn't a member of that body the entire time, but we have probably done a poor job of treating it as a business and being forward-thinking enough to tell this body what it is that we need, not what it is that we believe that we can get past, or what it is that we believe that we can continue and do various things. Further to your question, we have a list here of projects that are designed, engineered already, a 10-year plan of some $84 million. Today, Benton Utilities does not budget large-scale new projects because we have not had the revenues to pay for those as we have. So in a year like 2021, as an example, if there are between all three utilities $5 million worth of revenues that were not spoken for, the commission has chosen to take those funds and apply those to projects where we can complete those and repairs as they are needed. I got an email today from Mr. Ritchie with the Streets Department and Mr. Hood with Utilities that says we've got 2 years to map where it is in the city of Benton, where we still have issues with copper and lead, to know where those things are, to bring those things up to standards that's required by the Highway Department and by EPA 2025. Mr. Hood's response to that was based upon current levels of funding that we are able to allocate toward that project, and trying to not tear up Mr. Ritchie's new streets when he goes out there and does an overlay, digging up something that's old. The expectation of that is it's going to take us 10 to 15 years in order to accomplish that task. Our growth is and has been phenomenal. In 1990, the City of Benton had approximately 10,000 citizens. 2000, when my family and I arrived here, it was right at 20. By the time we get to 2030, I believe that we're going to be somewhere north of 40. We have to have a plan in place that will enable us to provide the services not only of our existing customers, but toward our future residents and businesses to try to continue to be able to grow and provide the services so that when you go over there and turn on that switch or turn on that faucet or flush that potty, that all of those things work. Sorry, long-winded answer, but I hope I helped.
The next question is, recently the legislature approved $270 million in grants to cities. Did the city of Benton pursue anything like this? And also, how about the use of any infrastructure funds to deal with our wastewater, our infrastructure for the city?
The use of what?
Infrastructure funds.
Okay. So the city of Benton, like several others, applied for the grants with the state. Those grants were awarded on Friday past. I found out today the city of Benton was neither granted a grant nor were we placed on the waiting list. The city of Bryant was placed on the waiting list. East End was placed on the waiting list. Those were 50%, in some cases 25%, in other cases matching grants. I think their preference would have been that you had shovel-ready projects, and I think in saying that, the best two examples that I can give you of a situation like that in grants that I'm familiar with would have been Lower Military Road. Lower Military Road was designed and engineered in 2002. 2009, when President Obama requested shovel-ready plans to put people back to work and to upgrade infrastructure in this country, the contract on Lower Military Road was granted. When we granted that contract in 2011, it was somewhere on the order of $13 million. By the time it was completed, it was closer to 17. City of Benton never been able to have funded that project just based on city revenues alone. Alcoa Road and the improvements there, another example of that. I think we are very judicious with our funds and how it is that we go about approaching infrastructure projects. One that we are currently working with the city council on. We have a couple of them. With the city received somewhere in the order of 13 million? No, 7. 13 million?
No.
7 million. 7 million. I get the county and the city confused there. 7 million in ARPA funds, and the city generously committed $3 million for utility infrastructure improvements. So one of which is water line that would run down from Willow Street toward the downtown area and toward River Street. And I'll tell you, $3 million that they committed, the cost of that project alone, and this is the third project of the 3 that we're attempting to do with the city's help. That project alone, $6 million. There will be a water tank necessary at exit 114 as that property develops. Estimated cost today on that tower is about $4 million. Everything that we touch costs money and costs a lot of money. There are no inexpensive projects out there dealing with utilities and infrastructure. So we try very, very hard. The city also, as the mayor alluded to, stepped forward in that same ordinance 2004, 46 of 2004, that created the utility commission. It also said in there that the commission would not charge the city of Benton for use of city services. Council passed on all 3 readings at its last meeting in January the 1st. They will pay $500,000 a year toward their cost, which on an annualized basis has been somewhere around $720,000 to $750,000 toward the cost of their services beginning you're using it at your home or I'm using it at mine. So it alleviates that $500,000 worth of cost that the utilities have been paying on behalf of the city. And we're very grateful for the city's support in that regard as well.
Just one question that just came up, is the city constantly looking at trying to renegotiate or look at the marketplace for any savings in rates?
Let me make sure you understand that the city and the utilities are completely separated. The only thing the city council does is approve rate increases, bond issues, and emergency expenditures. The rest of it is dealt completely by the commission, and you keep saying the city. I want to make sure that in 2004, everyone understands the commission operates the utility department. Okay?
In answer to your question, sir, we do. We are currently in a three-year fixed rate contract with Constellation Energy. Some of the thought processing related to the 3-year window of time associated with this is that I don't believe that anything out there is permanent. Contract is set to expire in May 2025. Based upon what we saw in the spot market, and to your point, we went from $31 and some change per kWh or per megawatt hour to $42 and some change when the old contract expired and the new contract took effect. We entered into negotiations and got proposals from 3 different companies, NextEra, NRT, and Constellation. Constellation most closely fit the needs that we have. Within a month after our contract went into effect, if you looked at a map of the United States of America, going up from Minnesota directly down to Arkansas and south to Louisiana, you saw spot prices $85 to $95 every day. We were very, very grateful in those days to have entered into our fixed full requirements contract. We will continue to do that. We will continue to work as judiciously as we can with the ratepayers' funds that we have.
We have another question over here.
I'm gonna say something and then I'd like a brief answer.
I can't hear you, sir.
Technical difficulties.
I'll try to adhere to that brief list.
I appreciate it, I'm sure everybody else will also. I represent American Legion District 15 at the state level, and that includes the city of Benton. And my concern, this is district commander, and also the post district commander in this city. And our concern is with veterans living in the city that are already living on a fixed income. And like you say, all the prices have gone up. And this thing is going to push a lot of them over the edge. As you know, right now, there's about 23 veteran suicides across the country every day. And a lot of those people, especially the older ones, get pushed over the edge. That's what we're afraid of. The greatest demographic that are committing suicide are people over 50 that are on fixed income. That's my statement. My question is, from what I understand, there hasn't been any meter readings for a long time. Is that true?
No, sir. The city of Benton moved toward radio read meters several years ago, both on the water and the electricity. And we have automated equipment that reads those meters on the same day of each month to allow for continuity there and is providing as close to a 30-day window as we can.
So then, that information is correct. That you're using the meter reading information, and that meter
Yes, sir. And to further speak to your question, sir,
I don't need any more.
all right, okay.
We have another question here.
Rodney Anderson. I've been a member of all my life. And I love this young man right here because I am a veteran on a fixed income. And like you said, everything's going up. Like my paycheck, like my social security check, everything's going up. And I understand that we have to put more money into to move forward, to progress. But I just got one question for you guys. The long recommendation that the committee offered to you, I just want to know why it was turned down. You said something about a long, there was a long recommendation, but it wasn't the right time. Mayor?
Back
I think you made that statement.
Yes, there was a proposal for a $16 a month utility rate increase, and the council chose to vote it down at that particular time. The inflation at that time was 8.7%, and so they chose to vote it down.
Well, that option included, the $16 included the utility financing improvements through loans, but the utility does not have the capability of borrowing that money. The $16 was not sufficient to allow them to service the debt to where they could take out that loan. So from a legal standpoint, they could not legally take out those loans.
So what you're talking about is the rate increase, the rate study that the commission and the utility department paid $75,000 to have. It came back with a 0% increase on electricity, 8% on water, and 8% on wastewater for about, and I don't have those figures, one of y'all, $6 a month or $7 a month, something like that, which wasn't sufficient to meet the needs. It also had in 5 years borrowed $36 million in bond issues, which we can't do at this time.
And just like you can't do it at this time, I feel the same way about the rate increase. Right now, everything is just so tight, and there's very little money to go around because I'm limited to what I can get. I just think that we need to reconsider such an increase. I know you're gonna do what you gotta do, but I just don't agree with it at this time.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Russell Steve, Commander of American Legion Post 19. The address is 1119 Edison, but I live at 804 West Maple. And I am a disabled veteran, just like this man. I'm a fixed income. And there's going to come a time where I'm going to have to decide whether I want to eat or whether I'm going to have to pay the electric bill. And that's not fair for any of the veterans or senior citizens in this town. But it's going to happen. I looked at this sheet, and there are major increases. And, you know, like you said, we're not, they're gonna, in January and February, they're going to throw us homes. You know, the biggest biggest raise we've ever gotten, which is, it's going to be a nickel. And so it's not going to help us any. And, you know, if y'all are throwing this increased electric and water bills, what are we supposed to do? Eat or pay the bill? You know, are we going to freeze to death in the winter? Are we going to burn to death in the summer because we have no air conditioning? That's, my concern is my veterans in this county and in this town. And, a lot of them are on fixed income. This cannot work. You're gonna be hurting somebody, just to do what you have to do. And, that's not dang right.
Anyone else? Right back here in the back.
I can probably do loud enough for when you can hear me. My voice carries. But as okay, we'll do this so everyone can hear. I want to know what the people. I live in Benton. My name is Cassandra. I live on West Severe Street. I want to know what we're getting out of the rate increase. What is the water department, the electric department, the words they were going to give us because we're paying them more money. I mean, I'm not opposed to giving you more money if you're going to give me something back. And I want money.
Short answer.
I'll try to keep it. I heard that.
As long as you want.
We'll continue to work, particularly, in the area where you are. It's one of the addresses, that was in the email today as it relates to, the mapping, the pipe bursting there are places in downtown, going down by C.W. Lewis Stadium, that direction that still have 2-inch pipes that have been in the ground for 60 years. Both water and smaller sewer pipes have been in the ground for 60 years as well. Upgrading and improving those, continuing to upgrade our treatment facility. We have to try to strike a balance of improving life for our current residents as well as trying to deal with future growth as well.
My name is Patricia Ashland. Now, as I said before, safety is the law. If you have lighting and it's not lighting the streets where you can be mobile, it's useless. I'm still needing that light. I had private security to come down here in my neighborhood, and he said it would be better served if it was better lighting, and he was on high alert. I'm not understanding why this commission is willing to sacrifice my safety to not give a light. I don't understand it.
All right, thank you, Ms. Ashley. Is there anyone else that has a question or wants to make a comment at this time? Yes, ma'am.
I think I can speak loud enough. But as the old saying, if it ain't broke, why fix it? Why increase stuff, literally? People like the gentleman said, veterans, elderly, single parents, you only have so much, and that is it. Food's going up, gas has gone up, everything has gone up, and that's just too much. And on top of that, for all of the community in Christie Acres too, that is a lot. If they already have a fee of $25 for another 15 to 20 more years, or until satisfied, do y'all know when that will be ending?
I can't, I'm Baxter Green, I'm the city attorney. I'm talking because there's a legal aspect to this. The comment of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Under Arkansas law, the utility is required to charge rates that are sufficient to do a few things. And I'm just going to read it so everybody's clear. The rates have to be sufficient to pay the principal and interest on all revenue bonds and revenue promissory notes as they mature, to make payments into a revenue bond sinking fund as required, to provide an adequate depreciation fund to provide the utility's estimated cost of operating and maintaining the system, and then if there is additional bonds, they've got to cover that. Right now, the utilities rates, Mr. Ponder told you all earlier, they've gone down $5 million in cash this year. So the rates are not sufficient to cover the things that are legally required. They do not have adequate funds to cover the cost of their debt and the operation and maintenance costs and really the replacement cost. So as pipe needs to be replaced in the ground, and that's what he's talking about with the projects that need to be done, they don't have adequate rates to cover the things that are required by the law. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That is our problem. It is broken. We do not have adequate funds to cover the things that are legally required. And I don't want to mess up, but I believe he said they've spent $5 million in cash, the savings that they've been able to put back in the past this year to cover some of those things. But to be able to continue to do that, we've got to have a rate increase.
Okay, but do you know when that bond or whatever for the Christie Acres is going to end? Because the Christie Acres still has the $25 fee until satisfied. That may be when my grandbabies, great-grandbabies, everybody else, 50 million years from now that we have to pay on.
I think he told you it was limited, it's 25 years. I'll look up specifically and find out the answer for Christie Acres, but so that everybody understands, Christie Acres did not have sewer, and so the citizens there came to the commission and the council and asked for sewer to be run there, and to finance the cost of the sewer running there instead of paying a one-time fee or a large number up front. Essentially, it's I don't know the specific legislation on it, but essentially the utility paid those costs and they financed it out. Finance is not a word, it's not the legal term for it, over a long period of time so that improvements could be taken to that neighborhood so that they would not be on a septic system anymore. I think Mr. Ponder said he thought it was 25 years, but that's going off memory. But we'll look that up and get you the specifics of when that ends.
Okay, I mean, if y'all do the increase, does it have to be with the Christie Acres then? Because Christie Acres already have the $25 fee is what I'm saying. On
Christie
top of
Acres
the
is-
increase, that's gonna be another $50 more. Our bill's gonna be $150. Do we want food or water? I'm like the gentleman, like, you're gonna have to sacrifice.
I'm not sure where you got the $50, but
I mean, we have a $25 fee on our bill.
understand that. And it was so that you would have sewer there. And again, I can find out when that's going to end, but the rate is not going to be not charged to one neighborhood and then charged to everybody else.
Well, I mean, I oppose of it because we already have, like I said, a $25 fee, and my bill's already way, way over. I mean, it's $80 to $100 a month.
I have one question. Has any effort been given to not raise the rates to people under a certain income?
I don't believe that would be legal under Arkansas law. You're required, there is some exception for age, so over 65, but you have to charge your general rates. You can't give away the service or do something. Just like, I do not believe that would be legal under Arkansas law, but I will look and check.
To address the discount, if you are 60, Mr. Ponder, you help us with this. If you're 65 years or older, the utility does give a discount by just going down there and giving your driver's license to prove that you are 65, and you can get a discount on wastewater and water. Is that not correct, Mr.
It's
Ponder?
been taken.
That is correct, Mr. Mayor. Also, for people who are disabled, there's language there for that. Some of the rate structure that is proposed to the council to take place, many of the users' base rates will not change at all, as we attempted to adjust the cost associated with it with the commodity, so that those persons who are the higher users actually wind up sharing a larger proportional portion of the bill.
Would those discounts, would they be possible then for a veteran that has been wounded during service and is getting compensation for his wounds, and he can prove that? Would that apply?
I don't know if it can, but we can look into that and find out the answer from a legal standpoint.
I'm not a public speaker, so bear with me for a second. My name's Josh Scott. I work for the electric department. It's more of just a statement than it is a question. Where I live, I don't live here in the city, I live outside the city. And my family members who are veterans and my disabled and certain examples of such that's been brought up, where I live, Energy don't ask me if I want my rates increased. Neither does the water or anything, they just do it. So I hear where you're coming from and where everybody's coming from. It's not a good thing, but it is a good thing that these guys are giving the public an opportunity to speak, and tell you everybody how you feel. I appreciate y'all doing this because where I live, they don't ask, they just do it. And I see it on my next bill, water, electric, all of it. So I just wanted to let everybody know that it is an opportunity for everybody to speak here like this. And it's a blessing that they offer this, because they don't offer it where we live. My grandparents, my disabled family, they don't have an option. They just say, here it is. So it's a blessing that we get to actually talk about this and debate it. So thank you.
And I'd point out one other thing to the council. The flag should be on the right side of the podium.
It's taking everything I can do to get up and change it.
Anyone else?
I just want to say this council sit here and voted themselves a staggering raise because they felt that they needed more money. And all I'm asking for is a light for safety.
And this actually, you and I talked about that light, Mr. Ponder talked about lights, and there are lights, there are at least 3 lights in the area of your house. We've had
It
the
needs
police
to be
by
a
there,
light,
we've
sir.
had the fire department by there. I just wanted to be
It needs
clear.
to be a light.
Okay.
And it needs to be a
there is
plan with the mayor for safety in this city. It needs to be that.
Ms. Ashley, let's contain our conversation to rates, the thing at hand, and so we don't get out of line with what we're trying to accomplish. We've heard from a lot of you. The commission has done everything they can to make a proposal. The council will have the second reading on Monday night about ordinance 57, 58, and 59. At that time, there can be amendments made, or they can wait and move it to January to have the third reading to vote on it, or they can suspend the rules and vote on it right then and there. So if there's anyone else with a comment about the rates, let's stick to what we're here for. And yes, ma'am, there's a microphone behind you. Where are you at, Matt?
Hi there, my name's Shelley Poole. I am not currently a resident of Benton. That's right, I sold my house. I'm looking for another house. And a lot of it figures into how much do I have to pay here or there, whatever city I'm gonna move to. So I just wanted to remind everyone that a lot of people are gonna be selling their house in the spring. I'm looking for them, actually, if anybody's got a house for sale. I know I've only got 3 minutes, Shane. But I wanted to ask you, does this increase compare, how does it compare to the city of Bryant?
I'm glad you asked that, Shelley. I've got a proposed rate increases here in front of me. City of Bryant has increases that began in 2021 that will equate to 21.5% over the next 5 years. Arkadelphia will double their meter rate, more than double it, from $8.30 to $17.30 in 2023. This is a 109% rate increase. Hot Springs is planning a base meter rate increase of $2 in 2023, $2 in 2024. Liberty Utilities plans an increase of 11.5 in 23, 10.3 in 24, and 9.4 in 2025. Bryant sewer rates for the same timeline, 21.5%. Hot Springs proposed 6.75%, $6.75 base increase over each of the next 3 years. Conway, 30% increase over the next 3 years. Fort Smith will be a 58% increase if the current sales tax vote fails. SWEPCO at a 9.49% or $10.57 per month increase on an average. Entergy Arkansas, 6.14% last year. First Electric went from $20 to $25. And my electric provider, First Electric, is $25 a month. The City of Benton is at, and has been for more than 10 years, at $8.90. It's not the ratepayer's fault, as I told you earlier, that we are at a spot where we have not progressed perhaps as we should have over the course of time with more moderate increases. What it is that we are asking for today is very much like these other cities, and it's what we need to function and to continue to provide the service that you need.
All right, right in the back, I see a hand, Toby, in the very back pocket.
Betty Richardson. Now I understand you need an increase, but why such a large increase? Can it be smaller?
Ms. Richardson, we have worked through the process, we worked through the formulas, we went and got the independent rate study that the mayor alluded to.
We chose not to borrow $37 million. We chose not to ask for $48 all in one shot, as we did a year ago. We asked to spread it out over 3 years, and the timeline associated with that is tied directly, in some ways, indirectly in others, with the expiration of the current Constellation contract when it expires. But the rate increases that we have asked you for are the deficits that exist today in water at 47%, wastewater at 62%, and trying to get those to zero in today's dollars over the course of 3 years. I don't expect that that's going to be sufficient 3 years from now. I don't expect the prices that we're going to have to pay tomorrow to be the same 3 years from now. But it puts us on sound financial footing, and it gives us an opportunity to perhaps be able to absorb a portion of what I anticipate to be an additional rate increase in electricity and wholesale cost in May of 2025.
All right, anyone else? Just out of curiosity, would all the people that work for the utilities or have something to do with the utilities, please stand up so that the rest of the citizens we can tell. Thank you. Thank y'all for being here. If there's no one else, we're going to close the meeting now at this point in time, and we are adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks, guys, for watching.